My brother bought a car and it has a windshield chip on it. I've had windshield chips before, but I've always had insurance coverage to take care of them. When the auto glass guy came out, he used a compressor with a suction device to pull the air out of the chip and then filled it with resin. Well, I looked at different products online, and this is one that allows you to pull the air out. There's a number of different kinds, and I prefer this one because of that. Okay, the first thing that we need to do in the kit, they sent a push pin, and you just want to clean out any loose glass that's in there so it's nice and clean and you're not filling loose glass particles with the resin. Now this is just a little pinhole in here, and then it spreads out to a crack. So I don't know how well this will do, but we'll find out. Next, we're going to take rubbing alcohol with a clean towel. I've got a microfiber towel here because I don't want any dust or contaminants in there. And instead of putting the alcohol on the window, put it on the towel and clean the area. We need this nice and clean so that the pedestal that we're going to put on there sticks well. And of course, we don't want any contaminants in there when we're putting the resin in. With the windshield clean, now we will mount the seal to the windshield. Now you want to get the damaged area right in the center, the chip right in the center of this seal, and the tab facing up. So we'll leave the green side up, peel the back off, and apply it to our chip. You want to get it centered right over that damaged area. And then you want to press around to get a good seal. Next, we peel the backing off the top side of the seal. Now we can take the mounting pedestal, line the tabs up, and put it on the seal. And press around it so it's sealed on there real good. Now you don't want to press too hard. You've already got a chip in your windshield. You don't want to cause a big crack, but you do want to get that sealed around there well. Next, we'll fill the pedestal with the resin that came in the kit. But before we do that, you either want to put a paper towel or a piece of tape to catch any resin that might drip down, just to keep a neater job. So I'll put a piece of tape here and tip it up to catch any resin that might come down. Just form a little lip there. Now we'll cut the tip off the resin tube and fill the pedestal with the resin. Till it's full. And that's full. You don't want to throw this tube away because we're going to need it at the end. Now we'll take the syringe and press it all the way in the pedestal. And you want a good firm seal there because we're creating the vacuum. With that in there, you want to grab the syringe with one hand and pull up to create the vacuum. And I can feel it's hard to pull. I'm pulling all the air out of there. And we want to go to the second notch. Right there. And make sure that's pressed in place. And leave it locked in just like that. Now we're pulling the air out of the chip. While that's doing that, I want to tap around the window, not real hard, but to try to force any air bubbles out of the chip and up into our vacuum. We'll leave that on there until all the air bubbles are out of the chip. I'm going to go around to the back side and look and see if I see any air bubbles, but I'm going to leave this vacuum on for at least 10 to 15 minutes. With all the air vacuumed out of there, we can move on to the next step. Now that we've pulled all the air out of the chip, we're going to hold the pedestal down with one hand and pull the syringe out. Put a little twist on it and pull it out. Now our resin is still in there. We'll take the syringe and push it back in, making sure we have a good seal. Now with the syringe in place, there's no more vacuum. We're going to take and hold the syringe, twist the plunger so that the notch isn't in the way, and press down, and we're pushing the resin into the chip. And we're going to leave that pressure on for at least 20 minutes. Just like we did for the vacuum, for injecting the resin, I want to tap around this just a little bit to see if that'll help. Maybe just a little movement in there to get the resin down in that crack. Now our chip was just a pinhole chip at the top with the crack underneath. So that resin might need a little more pressure to get down into that crack. That'd be nice to get rid of that. So let's move back up to the top and see if we can push a little more resin down in that crack. I'm going to put a little more pressure on it to try to get down in that crack, but I don't want to put so much pressure that I break the seal here and then mess up the whole thing. I got to twist it, and then I can push down a little further. And I think what I'm going to do is cut a notch in here so I can hold it in place. And see if I can lock that in. And it's holding. Let's go inside and see if there's any difference with that crack. I'm also going to tap around the inside, just real gentle, to try to get that resin forced in there. Well, it's been about 30 minutes, and the resin is penetrating, and I think the crack's a little better. Now, I don't want to blow the seal on the plunger, but it's been on for 20 to 30 minutes, and I'm going to see if I can force a little more resin down in that crack. And if it blows out, well, it's been on for 20 or 30 minutes, and that's the best I could do. But I'm going to hold this down so I don't lose my seal. Locked her in again, and we'll let that sit another 5 minutes. See if we can get rid of more of that crack. All right. It's been about 35 minutes now, and I think that's about the best we can do. Now we can remove the syringe. Set that aside. Take our razor blade that came with the kit and remove the pedestal and the seal. And we'll just get it started here around the edge. I want to be careful still around the chip. Let's clean this up a little bit here. I'm not scraping around the chip at all. Now what you want to do is take the resin dropper and just put one drop on the top. Then we can take the curing film and you want to roll that on. So I'll put it here and I'm just going to roll it onto it. And then they say you can take the razor blade and get rid of the bubbles in there. Looks good. I still see a little crack there. But the main goal was to keep this from spreading. So it could be that this chip wasn't opened up enough to get the resin down in there. We'll just let that sit now because it's a cloudy day for an hour. All right, it's been about an hour. We can pull the film off. The resin should be dry. And I'm going to kind of work my way around the chip and pulling this off. Instead of just tearing it off, I think I'm going to grab it and kind of twist it so I don't pull any resin out. There we go. With the film off, now we can scrape the resin off. And I'm going to run it perpendicular, the razor blade, to the glass and just scrape it this way so I don't pull any resin out of the, like if I pulled a sheet, I don't want to pull any resin out of the chip. Now that I've got it all off, just scrape around it and we're all set. Pull the tape off. And there's the repair. Now this one didn't turn out perfectly clear. Like I said, there's just a tiny, tiny chip right there. And then it created a crack down underneath that. I did the best I could to vacuum that out and pressure the resin in there. If it was an open chip, I think I could have got that unnoticeable. I'm happy with the way this turned out. The chip is hardly noticeable. Just a little nick there. And you can barely see the little chip there. Considering what kind of chip and crack it was, I'm happy with the way that turned out. And the windshield's now protected. If this video was a help to you, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and I look forward to helping you with other projects online.